Welcome back to the podcast, guys. My name is John Murray. I am your host. Today we have a special guest, Carlos Espinoza of Manhattan Martial Arts. Let's welcome him to the stage. Carlos, my man, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, Mel. I'm doing well, man. Thank you for inviting me today. It's very cool. My first podcast.
So you run Manhattan Martial Arts. For people who don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the story with Manhattan Martial Arts is essentially I joined this Muay Thai group about 10 years ago. And it wasn't even Muay. I didn't realize it was a Muay Thai group. I think it was the days of Craigslist, and I was looking to get some sparring or something in the park. So I literally was putting up stuff out there, and I never got really any replies. So one guy replied me. Oh no! Then I saw someone else's ad that was kind of like mine, looking for someone to do stuff. It's like, oh, martial arts, do blah blah blah. It was very funny. It was like, oh, no gay stuff, like bold letters, because you never knew in Craigslist, it was a little crazy. It was a Wild West back then. So I'm like, all right, whatever, we're going to be in public, we're going to hang out. So I go and I meet this guy called Nico, who now is one of my best friends, this older guy. I don't know how old he is. He refuses to tell us how old he is. I mean, I would guess maybe 50s, 60s. But he's got this whole, philosophy of you forget your age and you act whatever age you feel like. And he's a super cool dude. He dances every weekend. He's got more cardio than everyone I know. And again, he's an older guy. And he's his way of thinking is pretty cool. Anyways, I meet this guy and he hooks me up with this group that he had found, because he was also trying to find a group, and then he found this group. He put me on it, and it was just a Muay Thai chill, go kick some pads, hang out, some nice training. But then slowly we kind of started sparring a bit more, and it kind of just turned into a sparring group. So that took over for a long time. We even used to make fun of the people who would do warm-ups. We would just be like, yo, just spar to warm up. I mean, what are you doing? So, but eventually we did that for a while, and it kind of got a little attention to where we were getting a lot of people who didn't really know martial arts. They were just coming in for the fight club aspect of it, even though we never really advertised it as a fight club or anything like that. But you would get people showing up who didn't know much, and that would happen for a while rather, to the point where I decided it's only so much fun to be beating someone up who doesn't know. So then we actually started teaching as well. Or rather, I started because I was in the group, and maybe 2 years in, I took it over. The person who ran decided that they had to do other stuff. So they kind of left it to me. And that's when I kind of started shifting it a little bit. And then I started teaching people. And, that's always rewarding. It's always cool to teach people. You kind of learn basics all over and over again. I like that.
What was the realization that you kind of needed to teach these people? And what kind of characters actually walk in and want to do Fight Club?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you think in the city you get all kinds of crazy people, but honestly, I mean, it probably has to do something where it's just like BJJ. It's like what they say, filters out assholes, because someone's gonna beat you up or you will get beat up, and it kind of filters you out. I think this thing had a kind of the same deal. Most people who showed up, 99% of them were really standard people. They were okay, they were not crazy. They were just looking to get a workout in, maybe find out what boxing was like. Obviously people with a high spirits, let's call it, very about stuff, ready put themselves out there, but nothing crazy. I mean, honestly, I can only think of one instance where we had to stop people because it was getting too crazy, but that was literally one time. And every for the 10 years, it's been super chill, which is kind of crazy to say when you're talking about doing a fight club and fighting. But it's you say fight club, but we're sparring. We're not really going out and we're bleeding, we're all messed up, nothing like that.
Right. How many? So you started with the Muay Thai club, and what was like the kind of you guys are up to? I believe you said I want to say it was over 10, right? Was it?
Years?
No, no, no. Number of individual sects or clubs within your.
Oh, right now in the network. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, well, to come around that, once we started teaching people, I started then at some point I started like doing a little competitions with some people in the group. So that was kind of like a facet too, where we kind of like like a fight team, but kind of like that. And then through that, I started meeting other people, and then I got hooked up, find out about like these two other groups, New York City Fight Club, and then the Dragon Combat Club, which kind of had the same deal going, where they were just like doing their stuff. And then I started finding all these other groups. So now we do have like, including mine, 11 groups in the network. And they are like capoeira, sumo, even LARPing. You know the LARPing guys with the foam swords. It's actually a
Yeah.
lot of fun, man. They have I think it's called Dagor here. It's like a whole rule set, and it's very cool. It's very fun to do it.
Do they actually have like a training regiment? Like, do they practice fencing and HEMA
I
to
think
for
if
it?
you join their group, they probably do have like training sessions. The ones I go to is more like kind of like their own version of sparring. I guess you play games, you play all this stuff. I don't know if they consider that training, but you would need basics, I guess, at some point. But swinging a sword is pretty
Pretty.
primordial there.
Don't you? I believe you guys have a HEMA group as well, right? Historical.
Yeah, just right now, just for this season, for the winter season, I got hooked up with the Brooklyn Falls Edge Fencing Club, and they do Hungarian fencing or Hungarian saber. Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't checked. I haven't really checked them out yet, but that's all the way down in Brooklyn. I always thought that for me, I would save like martial arts weapon training for like when I was older for some reason. But for this winter, I managed to like hook up like that one. Also, I saw that you had someone who does the Irish stick fighting.
Yeah, I was
So we
gonna
have
say.
one of those groups too, the scrapping squirrels.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also got hooked up with the Gladiator NYC club, which is the guys who do like actually full armor combat, and they have like on Wednesdays. What I have in my schedule, they do like a boot camp. You know,
Is that the medieval knight stuff?
yeah, yeah, the actual full armor. They put on a lot of, not a lot, but they have like shows in Central Park now and then. I think they just started like their own like league, like to like fight for championships and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. I gotta go
Yeah,
check
super
it out.
cool.
I think we were talking to Nate Franklin about that. I had pulled up a video from something in that regard. Uh, yeah, I was I don't know. I don't remember what I was watching. Some documentary, but they had said it's not the impact from the sword that knocks them out, but it's the sparks that take away the oxygen from inside the helmet that cause.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow, that's like I would have never. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Or maybe they
Um,
just say that. So they're like, we're not violent. We're not trying to hit you in the head. He's trying to take your oxygen away.
I mean, on that level, it's no different than jujitsu. I mean, when you choke someone, this is removing the
True.
oxygen, the blood flow.
True that. Just peacefully putting you away.
So how many years have you been training?
Um, I've been training maybe for like on and off for like 20 plus years. Like I started when I was a kid, Taekwondo. In Peru, I'm from Peru. I moved here when I was like around 12. But in Peru, I did Taekwondo for like a little while. I got to like a red belt, I think. Not I think I know. Red belt. It's like right before black belt. I maybe did like two competitions when I was a little kid, but I wasn't really about the competitions. I did like martial arts. Then I moved here around 12. Kind of, took a couple of years off. Then I got back into Taekwondo for a little while to my, teenager years. Then, got out of school, went to college, kind of like also took a little break there. I did play a little rugby, which I consider maybe like, pseudo martial artsy training because rugby's pretty freaking rough, which is why like it's kind of the only other sport, or really the only sport I can watch nowadays. Because once you watch fights and stuff, I don't know, people. I mean, people like their sports and stuff, but I found that once I got into watching fights, like I couldn't really watch sports anymore. It's kind of a little weird, but rugby is pretty dope.
Have you there's an Indian sport, and it's kind of like a combination of wrestling and I want to say rugby, because it almost looks like rugby the way they go at each other, but like I don't. I don't remember what it's called. But I was talking about it with someone recently, and there's two players. They go out into the field. Um, wish I knew the rules.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know how to explain this, but they
Yeah.
throw each other, and then the other one goes out, and then another guy comes in. But it
Wow.
looks,
I
but it
might
looks,
look it up.
it looks like a rugby field.
Yeah, super cool. In rugby, for example, they have a part when when you get the ball offside, like they throw the ball in and they literally lift one guy up. Two guys lift a guy up into the air, and like the two teams lift a guy, and they both like fight for the ball in the air. Shit's crazy, bro.
I I've seen a few. Is that the one where they do the huddle, like almost like
Yeah,
everyone?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you clumped up, and then you just like, group against group, and then you have someone in the middle trying to get the ball. It's called the hooker.
What?
Yeah, you have someone like kind of in the front of there whose whole job, because what you're doing is you're doing that struggle for the ball. So there was someone's job, his whole job is to kind of get the ball. So you have someone like trying to hook the ball while both teams are kind of like going against each other like that.
So the people who are like kind of creating the shell on the outside, what is that purpose of all that?
It's
Like,
just to push past so they can get the ball essentially.
okay, okay. I'm just confused because like, why at that point just have two people go in the center, one of them just kind of swipe in and grab the.
Just mainly because the difference between like football and rugby is that rugby doesn't stop. So like there's no whistle, stop, reset. It just keeps going. So at a point, the whole team is piling up on it. So it's like a team struggle the whole time essentially.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I like I said, I've only seen a few games. I never really paid attention. It's been a long time. I think it was high school. We had a local team, the Saratoga Mustangs, and they were pretty popular. Um, is it some rugby something you still participate in, or is it
No, I haven't really played, but it kind of stuck with me. It's like very cool because, like I said, I never gravitated towards sports for some reason. Like I play soccer and I'm good for no reason. I guess I'm Spanish, so I can be racist towards myself, right?
in your blood?
Just good. I mean, I think it's because I also did taekwondo, so I have pretty good leg dexterity. Like I was literally pulling off like trick shots. I'm like, I don't even, I don't even like this. No, I'm kidding. It's fun. It's fun to play sports, and like for example, for my when I was doing judo, they would warm up with soccer. And first I was
Really?
like, yeah. And first I was like, yo, I'm paying to do judo, not to like do soccer. So we used to play for like a good 20 minutes or so. But one thing is like it's actually really good warm up for like judo because like you're stopping and going, your feet, you're like intermingling and like with everyone, you're putting your leg in there. It's very good warm up for it, especially the stopping and going. And it's a lot. It's a fun team sport. And I also realized it kind of bought time for other people to get there, and I really appreciated that actually when it was my turn to be in the schedule where I was like arriving a little bit late, so I could like depend on those 20 minutes of warm up the soccer to make it in time. So I was actually I went from like why would we do this to actually really appreciating it. And I guess that can lead to my continuing of my training. So I was, like I said, I did taekwondo teenager years, did some rugby when I was in college, and kind of came here. And then when I came back, I didn't really start training either, but I started kind of doing my own version of like little fight clubs here and there. Like I went to like a Queensboro Community College after too as well, just to kind of like, 'cause I'm a person who I can't decide what I want, so I do everything. So even when I left, I was like, I still want to see what else, check out what other learnings I can do. But kind of what I focused on at that point was more like doing my little dome fight clubs and stuff. So it's like I had friends, and then we started like I started bringing gloves, and we started like doing like friendly. It's not like crazy. Like people, and Fight Club has such a obviously because of the movie and just thinking about it, but it's more friendly than that. The way I kind of approached it, so it was very cool. Then I did that for maybe like 2 years, and we would train with ourselves, do a little training things. And then that's when I found this Muay Thai group, and then I kind of focused more on that. And then I started doing this. And then when I realized at some point that, my skills were only taking me so far, then I started to train again. And then I signed up to Sambo here in the city. There's a teacher, Sambo Steve. So I started
Okay.
doing combat sambo, regular sambo. Then I started doing Muay Thai as well. Like my early 20s were Muay Thai, sambo. I did a bit of boxing as well, and then that lasted up all the way to the pandemic. Like I did, that's when I started to get in competitions. I started to do grappling competitions because of sambo, which was, I think I jumped in a little bit too early. You always, I mean, I don't know, but you see it if you do BJJ. People get super hyped about it. They're 6 months in, they're like, yo, I'm gonna compete. You're like, yeah, bro, you do it. But in the back of your head, like, oh, you're gonna get fucked up. But it's a good learning experience for you.
I I've always been of the opinion that competition is a good way to learn.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
you definitely learn what you don't know. I think my boy Tony just posted a match from me and him, like from last year or 2 years ago. And I'm rewatching it and I'm looking at it. And it's like, damn, like I got the half guard, and I'm like, I should have shucked to the back, pulled the leg. It's like I know this. I knew this back then. I do it more now, but like, it's like, damn, I should have done that. I mean, starting off, yeah, do competition. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
yeah.
you walked away with a lesson, I bet.
Yeah, 2 lessons. I got armbar twice, bro. Gi and no gi. I couldn't wash my hands I mean my face for like 3 weeks. I had to be like no, I
Was
mean
it
it's a
was
great
it
lesson.
by the same person?
No, no, thankfully it wasn't. but
I,
but the gi one was by a very young person. I think he was like he just turned 16 or some shit. I was like, okay.
um, I was at Grappling Industries and I got this kid in a straight ankle in both gi and no gi.
Oh
Same
damn.
kid, same submission. And you'd think after the first one you'd learn.
Well, same day though. I guess it's gonna take a little, maybe a week to get that lesson really seeping in. But 2 in a row, that's rough, bro. You're savage for that. It's fucked up. I would have switched maybe to a knee bar or something.
I might
That's a
have
good lesson.
I might have switched legs. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. No, no, that's a good lesson. But yeah, I just say that because well, no, yeah, the first competition I did was white belt. I did get white. But then the next one was blue belt, like kind of immediately after when I felt like maybe it wasn't the best idea. But that was because I was doing sambo, so we were already doing footlocks from the beginning.
Yep.
And so we're like, well, we'll just be able to do footlocks. But then kind of now I realize that in blue belt, that's kind of like very deep pool of like maybe someone like you to sign up, but maybe there's a guy who's literally 5 to 6 years in about to be a purple, like coming in just to get his medals and like wreck everyone and look good, you know.
Yeah.
So you live and you learn, but it's with BJJ, like you said, and I guess all competitions, it is a lot of good lessons. It's on you to internalize them, I guess.
I don't know that it's in the culture, but definitely I've noticed a lot of the jiu-jitsu gyms in particular send people or encourage people. I would not say that they force anyone to do the competitions, but it's almost encouraged in the culture. It's almost like why didn't you compete?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's pressure, when everyone's doing it, and you get caught up on it too. You're like, yeah, I'll go do it. I'll go join with everyone.
you know what's funny is like I've never had a bad vibe at a tournament. I think everyone I've ever met has been super cool. Um, I don't know if it's the same way for other tournaments. You said you just did a recently a kung fu one. Was the vibe different there or?
Well, um, comparing them a little bit, like striking tournaments are like a little bit more like how would you put it, like you don't know who you're gonna be fighting and stuff, and you are punching each other, so it's a little bit more at the beginning. I mean, in any tournament, you're kind of like sizing everyone up and stuff like that. But I feel like striking competitions have a little more of an aggro component to them.
Okay.
But not to say that people are not chill. Like it's very very chill there, but it's kind of like a little bit more like you're not trying to like make friends or mingle for a little bit. You're kind of there, you fucking hit and patch, maybe trying to intimidate other people type shit. So
Okay.
um,
It's a little more of the psych out energy kind of going on
yeah,
around.
I mean, I don't know if it's a psych out as much. Also, like people are psyched out themselves. So like I think hitting pads, getting all the energy out, stuff like that, kind of helps them out. But even like all competitions that I go on, I never, no matter what, grappling, striking, it's pretty chill vibes. Because again, I think it is that idea where you have filter out most of the assholes by this point. Not to say, obviously there will always be assholes who make it through the filter by whatever means, but this is always chill people. That's why I like, being around martial arts for such a long time and having met such a wide array of like different practitioners from not every, but so many martial arts. Everyone's so freaking chill. Like I love it. It's chill, but you have like, in martial arts, you have that intensity because you're a martial artist. So everyone has that little craziness in them, but everyone's like chill about it. You know, this is what I really like about
It was
martial artists.
there's a saying, you have to be a little bit insane to want to go to a class every single week, to want to get punched in the face, choked out, kicked. Um,
Yeah, that's a big one for BJJ, man. Because BJJ, like the first few months, you're just getting fucked up. So it's like, actually, you gotta be slightly masochistic, I think. It's like, why are you doing this, man? Like, but then you start, you see, then you get the new, the trial students and the new white belts, and you're like,
it's humbling.
it really is.
I don't. I remember the first few times I went boxing. I don't know if your experience was the same, but like, yeah, I got beat up by a 16-year-old in boxing when I was like 24. I was like, got rocked, and I was like, what world are we living in?
Yeah, man, that's what martial arts is about. And that also teaches you, respect. Like you never know. Like a 6-year-old could fuck you up. Like you gotta act accordingly sometimes.
Yeah,
And it's a big lesson. For example, in Taekwondo that I remember is like you would be bowing to like freaking 6-year-old black belts. You're like this. You're like that's kind of dumb, but it's honestly like it teaches you a respect for an earned. I mean, I guess even if it wasn't earned, if we're talking about like a 6-year-old black belt, but I'm just being it's a hyperbole
being
here.
rhetorical, not serious.
Yeah, but it teaches you respect in that sense. Like respect, like the rank, respect someone's like time that they put in there into their art.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, so it's like competition is on something that I came very late into my life, like like my like mid 20s. That's when I was competing, and then I didn't really go crazy about it. I mean, maybe did a few, a handful of BJJ. I did a Xiao Jiao, Chinese kickboxing. I did Sanda. I did an MMA match as well. I was gonna have my second one literally a week before the pandemic shut everything down. Like we were waiting on the word. We were waiting on the word, and then everything shut down.
oh,
And
that's right.
super rough, man. And then that was the pandemic, and that was everything was shut down for like freaking year, 2 years and a half. And that's when I during that break I snapped my ACL. A lot of fun, You do martial arts your whole life, you do crazy shit, and then just messing around. I like snapped my ACL. So I had to recover from that. I got an operation, the HSS. I was actually extremely lucky. I got hooked up with a doctor. His last name is Marks, and I saw him like in this ad for the UFC, like like a year ago or something. I was like, wow, like I really got hooked up, man, because he was like literally in. He's like the dude who would take care of the athletes if they got hurt in the city. So amazing that worked out for me that way. And then it took me about a year and a half to kind of start messing around. I mean, I was honestly 8 months in, 6 months in, I was kind of like messing around with my friends, with my group, but I didn't really start getting into stuff till like a year and a half back in. And then I got into BJJ, judo, and
What
Muay
kind
Thai.
of what kind of training were you able to do with the ACL tear? Because like I know that with jujitsu athletes in specific, like you really can't do a lot. Because like you're moving with your legs off the ground. For you, was there anything you could do?
Well, for me, I definitely like stayed away from grappling for a very long time. Like maybe I was like, well, no, something. I was like maybe 9 months in when I started to like lightly like wrestle, but not really wrestle. Just kind of like foot sweeps here, like little stuff here and there. But my training was mostly stand up for. I mean, obviously for 6 months to eight, I did pretty much nothing. It was just kind of like the PT type stuff, bike, work out my legs, because a lot of what the recovery for the ACL is just getting your leg back to where it was, because it's very crazy when you get like opened up, because you get like, I don't know if you know what the ACL replacement like how it works, but essentially they gotta take. I mean, you have two choices. You can either take one from a cadaver, or you can take like a ligament from yourself. But they
Oh,
essentially, the ACL is the ligament like in between your bones that kind of keeps them from like sliding.
right.
So they gotta put the new one through your bone. So they gotta like hammer in. Like I seen the video. I was not very smart. I watched the video of the operation. They look like blacksmiths. They're hammering in like this rod. It comes out of the other side. They gotta put it through you. So it's like a crazy, crazy thing.
Oh, Oh, I don't even want to think about that. That's nasty.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, man. It's just like very
God bless
intense.
you. God bless you.
Like I said, I was very lucky though that I got hooked up who I got hooked up to, and I honestly, I couldn't say that I don't feel the difference. I do. I probably will always. But I've been, like I said, since I got back, I've been training Muay Thai. I've been training judo, which judo is scary. Judo is where you see a lot of those knee injuries because it's a lot of that. People are like slamming their legs into your legs and, sometimes falling on you, stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
In Muay Thai. So I was doing, and and a little bit of Sambo here and there too. So I was able to do all these things and train pretty hard too. And like I said, I went to a couple competitions, but that was like a more like testing myself out, my body, see how I felt, if I and I walked away from those with a moral victory. I didn't win, but I walk away with the moral victory of like, okay, I didn't think about my knee, didn't bother my knee. Like that was not even that wasn't even in the back of my mind. So that was like my okay, I can like really be about things right now. And that's kind of where I am now. I started all my training, and now I'm like started doing judo, BJJ, and now I'm back to kind of focusing more on sambo, and I want to focus a little bit on boxing now because I think I want to do a boxing tournament. I want to do tournaments. I like tournaments. I want to do all these different type of. I
Do
never had
you
a boxing one.
do you like the bracket system, or do you like more of the super system where like it's you versus a selected person?
No, I mean I like right now. I'm like about tournaments. I like brackets. It's kind of like the progression is cool, and then you kind of get more like I'm trying to almost like trying to get more mat time. It's like I'm appreciating that because competitions are so very different from like training. It's like a whole different gear there, and like I said, I when I was a young kid, I might have done like a few competitions, but I was never into competition. I had a very weird how do you say like with martial arts. Like I didn't watch the UFC till I was like my maybe 20s, even though I
Okay.
love martial arts. So like it didn't make sense. I was kind of like I think I was like a hater. It's like because I started with taekwondo, so maybe I was kind of like the what do you call it, the traditional martial art dudes.
A lot
I
of the
think
TMA guys are like that. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's where I was coming from because looking back, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like I love martial. Why would I not been all up on that?
Right.
Even before that, like pride, everything else. Like I wasn't into it, but that's because I think I wasn't like competing wasn't really my mind till I got into grappling. Grappling really opened me up to competing because it was such a new world for me grappling. Because I've been striking, I'm very familiar with. I'm like I can all day, but grappling was a very very new thing for me, and they opened me up to like competing because competing is a very big part of BJJ. I don't know if all grappling, but BJJ has a very big competition, like
I
like a scene, I guess. I don't know.
I would say definitely in wrestling.
Oh well, yeah, you're right. Wrestling is kind of like all freaking competing.
Wrestling, judo. I think there's definitely a competition to be seen to be found. Like Kano specifically wanted to be in the Olympics. Um, what else? What else? Other grappling is there? I got sambo. Is sambo more like an MMA, like a hybrid?
Well, Sambo has like two components to it, maybe even three, but let's just talk about the two, which is sports Sambo and combat Sambo. So sports Sambo is more like just grappling,
Okay.
and that's really cool too. Sambo is kind of like they combine like pretty much all the rule sets, so you can get points for pinning, you can get points for throwing.
I don't know that sambo has any competition. I haven't heard of that. I
Well,
meant
here in the states, there's not a lot of. Now they're organizing more. There's like every year there's like three big ones. I don't know if big ones, but there's three. Like there's the one in Ohio, Arnold's. Then there is the one in Boston, and then there's the one in November, which is like I think the East Coast like Cup or something like that. So I can
okay.
think of three, but yeah, I think it is a growing more of a growing martial art now, but it's you don't get as many people, so it's like very niche. So it's not a lot of competitions, but I think sambo is kind of like the martial artist martial art. That's what I like seeing a lot. So people who do sambo are people usually who are doing other martial arts, and usually they're into competing regardless.
I actually so I know a guy who was trained in sambo. He's on our team. I don't without getting too much into his history. He long story short, he comes from the the Soviet Union, so he was raised in that environment, and I guess they taught their individual sambo. And I kid you not, this man is crazy grappling. So like whatever they're doing over there with sambo is working. I wish there was more of it around here.
Yeah, man. I mean, sambo is essentially like old school judo. Like they do like crazy gymnastics warm up. They do care about that, like strengthening you and like you're doing, yeah, it's like old school judo. You're doing the grab legs, you're like lifting people, you're getting all these crazy wrestling workouts. It's like, again, it's a lot of martial arts kind of like put together, because I think that's how it started. Is the story is like, they would follow like cops and stuff and see what worked best, and then that's kind of what they decided would be sambo.
That's interesting. Is that
Yeah.
the actual history of it? Is like they actually
that's
followed?
that's what I that's what I hear. That's like kind of how they decided on what techniques they were gonna use. They just kind of went out there and saw what was working the best,
Huh.
and so grappling freaking works, man. That's why it's great.
I'm gonna look that up now because that's interesting. That would be a cool history.
Yeah,
That's
because I think like sambo, what it means is just means like self defense or something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of self defense, New York City, where you live, specifically Manhattan. If anyone's following the news, it's been getting crazy down there. Have you had any incidences where you've had to actually use your self defense yet?
Me myself, never actually. It's pretty crazy, because I mean, I do use my bike a lot because I'm in the city. So if I'm going to the city, I rather usually bike. I mean, now it's the winter, so I am taking the subway a lot. You see a lot of crazy stuff, as if you spend a lot of time in the city. I never myself had any type of problems, but I do know of like a lot of people who had to deal with stuff. Like someone even got like whacked in the head, like they showed us the picture. A BJJ guy too got like not like with a knife slash, but I think maybe it was just like the like fingernails or something. He got like a huge thing there.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, it's like, and it's what's the best way to put it? It's just crazy that keeps happening, because what they we all know why it's happening is because they keep letting people out. It's like, I don't know why is it that they're not like doing anything about it, just like continuing to use this kind of way of doing things that is like putting everyone in danger. So
You
it's
mean with
pretty
the bail
messed up.
reform and everything?
Sorry.
You mean with the bail reform?
Yeah, everything like that, all these things that they have set, so that up to like no charging people to like what they should be. Like I think a lot of people online can say like, oh, crime is down in the city actually, or maybe felonies is down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's because they play that. It's like we never watch what's it called, The Wire. Like we never watch The Wire. Like that's what they're doing. You ever watch The Wire?
No, I can't
Oh
say I
shit, bro! You gotta watch The Wire.
do.
Well, it's like this show about about Baltimore, and it's like this. I mean, it's a cool show. It's a very famous show, but it's essentially it shows you how they play with the statistics like that, to be like, oh, these things is down, like crime is down, but really it's because they're not charging people crime. It's because they're like letting them go. It's because they're citing them rather than like booking them, stuff like that.
Oh,
Like playing
yeah.
these games, these political games.
I'm more familiar with I guess how police manipulate statistics to get grants. So like I guess that would be an easier comparison for me. But no, I understand. I get a gist of what you're saying though. Yeah, no, it's affected here in Schenectady too. I had a former coworker who went a little insane, and that she was doing things that typically, from my understanding, would have been like jail time. Like she's dangerous. But like they were laying her out, and she was just like the next day she was right back at it.
It's insane, like literally insane to keep doing that. Like I think, I don't know, one guy, the last guy who attacked someone was like arrested like 400 times. I don't know if that's real, but I could like, it's so crazy that I could believe that. That's believable to me. And that's like, that's insanity. Like that's the other way to describe it, to have that.
Are you referring to the guy who lit the poor woman on fire in the subway?
It might be, I think also like some dude just like randomly stabbed a kid like in the Bronx. It might be that too. I'm not quite sure. There's so many. That's what it's so fucked up. There's like so many, and they're all like that. Every time they do something, it's like, oh, he got arrested so many times. He was let go like last week, stuff like that. So it's very very crazy. Makes everyone, feel afraid. I mean, me as a New Yorker, honestly, I almost like ignore it. Like it hasn't, not affected me. But now is the point where like I got to worry about my family. I got to worry about my mom. She lives here. My sister live here. My friends. And then you see all this stuff going on. And that's like, for example, we have one of the groups I connected with, the Dragon Combat Club. They do self defense, and that's they've been like very very focused on that type of stuff because that is literally their purpose for being a group. Their group started, I think, not I think, I know, the group started kind of like when there was like because of COVID, there was like a lot of Asian hate.
Okay,
So I think the group kind of started because of that, because the group organizer, is Asian himself, and I think it's a little bit it started like that, and then it
right.
kind of just opened up, and now they're also like they're having like a lot of people reach out to them. They're doing a lot of things because people are kind of looking for that type of mentality that they have, which is like we got to train, we got to be ready, and sometimes having that mentality is even looked down upon. It's like, oh, you're being aggressive, you're training to be aggressive, stuff like that. I'm sure they had to deal with that, but it's like we
Well,
have to deal with so much craziness. Like, how could you not be ready?
it's I, it's funny. It's funny that that's so true because like martial arts is one of those things that like I feel like everyone should have the ability to defend themselves or know the basic skills to defend themselves. Um, but yet it's almost like if you know that stuff, you're looked at as like a violent person or you like violence. It's like I don't like violence. I just don't like violence being perpetrated against me. So I know how to use it, you
Yeah,
know, and that trying to relay that can be so difficult sometimes.
yeah. People have such different live experiences that it's like sometimes people just can't get it like in their head what it is. And it really depends on that. Some people are very privileged, I guess was the word a long time ago that would get thrown around, but I think that is a word that is very prevalent today. There's a lot of us that are so privileged, like in every kind of way. I mean, we're privileged. I mean, the fact that I always say this, I annoy people, but it's like the fact that I can turn on like my faucet and I have water that I can drink. That's like amazing. It's like crazy. It's like a that is a privilege in itself, and we all live in this crazy privileged world, but some people are more so, and then that kind of like disconnects them from reality. And that's why I think we have these policies that we have, because it's people who are not living in the places that it's affecting. Whatever policies are making is being until it does. Like I think some judge lady got like beat up on the Upper West Side, and then they actually gave a fuck for a while because of that. But because it's like that. It's like you are so disconnected from what what you're putting on people that you cannot care. And that's why you can have people running around who are literally being arrested like hundreds of times, but they'll let go because of these policies. But you don't have to like deal with that. So it's like whatever.
It's funny. It's funny. It's like they're living in a first world reality, and ironically, they're bringing in people. I don't want to say a third worlds because the Latin countries aren't necessarily that. But they're bringing in these. What is the word I'm looking for? It's attributes of these countries without thinking of the consequences. Like when they let everyone in en masse. I mean, would you think that the gangs were just going to skip this opportunity to come in? And now you have I can't remember the name of it, but there's a gang from I think Ecuador or some I want to say something with an E. Um, but they're known for indiscriminate attacks, and I believe a lot of these are coming from that. And you got to be prepared. You got to almost be ready now.
Yeah, I mean that's literally the sad reality. When you are importing people without regards of anything, like just to let people in like freely like that is like one of the most insane things too. It's like what what does it mean to be a country then? Like I thought that's what it meant. Like you just if everyone can come in, then what what does that mean? Like that to me, that in itself is like mind-boggling in its own way. But it's it's a sad reality that you have to deal with, and you know people are trying to do their best to deal with that. And right now, the best thing you can do, because again, the help is not coming from the lawmakers. The law is not coming from anyone. It has to be you. Even like you can even like count on people, and it's not like you can blame them, like because you read all the time guy tries to help someone and gets fucking stabbed.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't even, you would hope that people would help you, but also you can't expect it. So
No. That's the sad part is like with the woman on the train. I think one of the things you saw in a lot of the comments was this can't be real. This can't be real. Why is everyone not helping her? Why is no one helping her? Like that was the one thing that people were saying was like the reason they couldn't believe it wasn't real. And it's like, damn, that's got to be a harsh reality down in the city. I feel like elsewhere, certain places like where I live, for example, up in the Capital District area, I feel like someone is more likely to help up here, whereas in the city, there's just so much
yeah,
crazy all the
the
time.
city is weird in regards to that. It's kind of, what do they call it? Like what is it called? Like, not the loneliest city. It's like you can be lonely and just be surrounded by so many people. Everyone's
Yeah.
doing their own thing. It can be weird, but honestly, it doesn't feel that way living here. Like, even though you hear about these things, and like, for example, my girlfriend has like the Citizen app. That's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know how people could have that. You know about the Citizen app?
What is this?
It's just an app that where people can, like, if they see some crazy shit going on, they report it. So it's like you see a man stabbed, man walking around with a hatchet, like a robbery happened just here, like, and it tells you exactly where it was. Like, if you were a vigilante, if you were trying to be Batman, like, you would download the app and you're fucking good to go. Like, it tells you everything that's going on around you, which is also another case where, like, the police should be using this. I don't know. Anyways, it's the
speaking of
Citizen app. Yeah.
speaking of vigilantes, do you guys ever run into the what is it, the Guardian Angels down there, the Red Berets?
Not really. They came. I saw them like once. They came to my store, but we haven't seen like a lot of any news from them. Which I thought about that the other day because I was going through this in my head as well, like the Citizen app and stuff like that. If someone wanted to be a vigilante, I'm like, wait, there's the guarding angel guys. It's like, what's up with that? I mean, I don't know. I think their president or whatever, he tried to run for a governor here or major, maybe. I don't know. That's the last thing I heard from them.
Was it Tom Kilkenny?
I think so.
You know
I'm not.
he's
I'm not very familiar with them.
he's a commissioner for Gamma, right?
For what?
He's a commissioner for Gamma.
For Gamma? What's Gamma?
Okay. I don't know how to explain this. They run MMA grappling
Okay.
tournaments in New York
Oh,
City,
that's very cool.
other places in the country. They're the ones who set up the refs for the New York State Commission alongside other associations. But yeah, I see him post all the time about the Guardian Angels, but they all look a little I'm trying to say this as politely as possible, dated.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's like kind of like an older type of group. I don't know why it's no, like, I feel like that would be a very nice group for people to join who are trying to. I mean, but again, it's putting yourself out there in danger. It's a crazy thing to ask of people, so can't really blame it. I guess it's an older mentality that they're kind of like,
My
like
community, I
following.
have to. Well, there was back in the day. I think there was like a sense of my community. I have to protect it.
Oh yeah, well, that is. I mean, if you see pictures from like New York City, like in the '70s, that shit was crazy. Like, I mean, and that's another thing, community wise. Yeah, you lose a lot of that, especially again when if you're like letting so many people in and stuff like that, and you don't know what their values are, and they're destroying shit around you. Like, you actively see like fucked up shit, like robbing people and stuff like that. I think that also takes away from like the social cohesiveness of people. It's all around. It's, I don't know. I think we should all just do martial arts citywide. If I was king for a day, that would be my degree. My decree. It's just like everyone must train martial arts for at least like 2 to 3 years.
What
Has
are
to
your
be a combat one though. Combat sport.
top three picks for everyone to learn?
Um, well, grappling. I think it's one of the top ones. Honestly, grappling is such a
Which
such a
are
cool
though?
martial art. Oh,
They have so if
for
you make your decree, right? You
mhm.
got to pick three specific martial arts that you would mandate people have to learn. Which are they?
Oh, see, I'm not that much of a, what do you call it? I'm not trying to use the fascist word, but I'm not like that much of a monarch. Maybe monarch. Like, I would let people choose, but my decree would be like it must be a combat sport. because to me, like for self-defense, for example, and just for your own human spirit, like I think sparring and doing like what is it called, like non when you do like when you do drills with someone who's not helping you do the drill, it's called a non oh shit
Non-compliant.
non-compliant drills. Non-compliant drills and sparring, I think, are kind of the essential part of like what makes you grow as a person in a martial art, because you can do a martial art and like grow as a martial artist in that art. But
Right.
I think but I think what makes you grow as a your spirit as a human, your understanding of yourself, is that kind of like clashing of feeling what it feels like when someone is like really not letting you do something, you're trying to dominate you. I think that's like a lesson in itself for like that everyone needs. I think that is the humbling part that we talked about before. That is when you realize like, oh, someone could like manhandle me, or maybe you realize like, oh, I could manhandle people. It can go the other way too. But I mean, usually martial arts, it goes the other way because the skill kind of is that's what the martial arts is about. It's like the skill kind of overcomes the physical, but not all the time.
Sorry, I lost the train of thought.
It's all good. Maybe me too as I was speaking.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Well,
but
okay.
over.
What
Sorry.
what what gyms do you recommend in the city for people to check out? What have been your most memorable experiences?
Well, I have tried like a number of gyms. I haven't quite jumped around to like all the gyms or maybe like the famous gyms and stuff like that. Like I only know the ones I gone to. Like the one that I could always recommend is New York Combat Sambo. That's what started my grappling like life essentially. So it's like really cool, and like that one is a really nice one because Sambo, like I said, is a combination of everything. So you get to learn wrestling, you get to learn judo, you get to learn BJJ, freaking, what is it called? The other wrestling, catch wrestling. You learn catch wrestling, luta libre too. You learn all these kind of cool stuff. So it's like really cool. And then the striking is the same because like remember I said there is like combat sambo and just sports sambo. So sports sambo is like all about just the grappling, and then combat sambo is essentially MMA just with a jacket. So that if you're trying to get like all around skills, and also for like self-defense, that's like a really good one. Like I could tell you that maybe 4 months or so into when I started doing sambo, back then I was like doing deliveries. I would do deliveries, and I was on the Upper East Side, in a part that you wouldn't think it would be troubles, but someone tried to like rob me. Two people, like I was coming out of a building, and they were one of them was standing at the door, like kind of like, maybe waiting to get let in. So I just kind of opened the door, and then he just like maced me and like pushed
Oh,
me in like that. Yeah, and then I'm in there, and I'm like, oh shit, they're trying to rob me. And then what I did, all I could do was like I literally just grabbed the dude by, because this was during kind of winterish, so it was like he had a jacket. So I
yep.
just grabbed him. I started like pushing him from one side of the hallway to another because it was like a small hallway. So I like pinballed him, and that was like all from that was just from sambo, from like learning to like like I mean in judo that's called I guess kusushi, like I'm balancing someone.
Right.
So that's kind of like as much as I could retain down there, but that was enough. Like I freaking like literally pushed the guy from one side to the other, like kind of pinball him, and then he kind of like collapsed a little bit. His other guy kind of tried to run up at me, try to do like a kick, which I literally like. I looked at it as it was coming, and I kind of like half laughed at myself because it was such a shitty kick. But then I was like, wait, this is a like serious situation. I like gotta focus. So I don't remember what I did. Maybe I just pushed him, or I don't think I kicked him back. I think I just like ran through, and then I just kind of got out. And
Yeah.
like that's just to say like I just used literally like from my training. Obviously, I had trained to do other things, but just the simple as grabbing someone and like smashing them, or like maybe if there wasn't a hallway, like they would have fallen and stuff like that. But actually, the hallway like helped me a lot. So that was
So
like really good for self defense. I'm saying like if you're trying to learn something to be maybe well rounded and have some self defense, I think New York Combat Sambo would be great for that.
just for the record, we just caught you in a little bit of a lie, though. You told me
Yeah.
you didn't have any incidents in New York City.
Oh yeah. You see, that's yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
No, that
true.
that sounds like that sounds crazy though. Like to have someone actually waiting for you outside, like to come back down to try and I don't what do they think they're gonna take from a delivery guy?
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Not funny, but. Looking back, it's like, yeah, what are you really trying to get at? And at the end, I took their mace with me. Like I had my mace for their mace for a while. It's pretty funny.
Wait, wait. So you took his weapon too?
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly like lucky that they only have that. You know, if they had any other kind of weapon, I might have just been like, whatever, bro. You know,
Right.
take my bag. Like, what the fuck do I care? Like, I'm not. You know, what are you stealing, really?
Were you blinded by it at all, or?
You know something? Not really. Like, so like that's the thing now that I think that I talk about too. Sometimes when people talk about mace, is like if you get one, you should probably get like a bear one or something. Because when I got maced, I was pretty good to do whatever I wanted to do. It was only after when I was like in the cab, like then I started to feel it, but it didn't really like stop me from doing anything. It made me like more angry, if anything, honestly. You know, if they bum rushed me, would have been one thing, but like mace me and bum rushed me, so I was like, what the fuck?
Did the police ever get them, or was that one
I
of those?
never, no, I just got the fuck out of there and like never looked back. You know, I figure like, what's the point? They're gonna run away. You know, and yeah, you're right. You know, it's very crazy that I would say like didn't have like any incidents, and I would tell this story, but that's kind of what I was saying, that it comes down with like being a
I
New
didn't mean to
Yorker.
freak out or nothing.
Yeah, but you know that really speaks to like I think like the what being a New Yorker is kind of like. It's like you ignore so much shit that's going around you. And you feel like, no, like it's all good, because honestly, it's been all good, but it's not for the city. But you kind of like maintain this kind of like, you know, it's not a lie, but it's kind of like you don't live in it till I guess you're in it. And then you're like, oh shit. But I think most New Yorkers, that's why everyone lives here. It's not like, you know, you hear all these things in the news. It's not like everyone's walking around freaked out. Like even like when they pushed you seen the video where they pushed the guy off the train station, and then
Yes. Well, I mean,
that was crazy, right?
I've seen unfortunately quite a few.
Yeah, well, there was a reason one that was pretty crazy, because the train was just getting in. They pushed him just as the train was
Yeah.
getting in, but that guy actually survived. That's fucking crazy that he would
Oh,
survive
God
that, right?
bless. God
Yeah,
bless.
but you know, but even then people were sharing pictures of like people in the subway like being not being like super close to the wall, like trying not to get pushed out. But
Right.
like I said, I've been taking the subway a bunch because of the winter, and I don't even like I don't see that. Like you don't see people freaking out to that level. I don't think you know, the news always makes it seem like people are living in such a state of fear, and maybe it should be that way. But again, it's the city, so many crazy things are happening. I think as a New Yorker, you kind of just learn to maybe not acknowledge it, maybe not like react to it in such a way that it's affecting your life to day, I guess.
It's
So
interesting you say that because so when I took my fiance down to the city for the first time, one of the first things I told her was, don't talk to anyone. Like if someone comes up to you and starts talking to you, don't engage. Because you don't know if they're crazy. Then the other thing I said was, don't make unnecessary eye contact for duration amount of time. It's gonna welcome the crazy. And that was all I said. And then we were so we got through the trip, everything went fine, and we're going to leave. We were planning it. We were taking the China bus. I'm outside uh, Madison Square Garden. You know,
mhm.
the two subway stations, one on each side, right? We're not even going in the subway station, but I should have mentioned this is in the winter. We're waiting outside. I'm trying to figure out which direction I'm going, and this crazy guy comes up and starts talking to Kristen, and we're just chilling. We're just chilling, and he's talking, but he's getting closer and closer, and he keeps shortening and shortening and shortening the gap. And eventually, like, I kind of just inserted my arm between the two and I kind of pushed him back. That set this guy off. He was screaming, screaming, screaming. Next thing I know, he's swinging on me.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And but I mean, fortunately, that was my only experience. Like, eventually, I just kind of grilled him, gave him an up and down like a Tyson stare, and he kind of backed off, and I
Oh,
didn't have
really? You didn't even have to do anything? Wow.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
Nice.
I just looked him up and down and gave him like direct eye contact. Like when Tyson does a stare off
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
look you in the eyes, and like if you move, his eyes go and they just move with the person. That's all I did.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me. He kept talking, and I didn't break eye contact, and he just eventually walked off.
Yeah. I mean, that's really that is what the best way to go about it when you find yourself in that situation, because a lot of people like that, and that's why a large also a large part where I say like people kind of ignore stuff, and you see, in the subway and whatever, people ignoring, is because it is that. It's like once you engage with people like that in any kind of way, it's almost like that's what they're looking for. It's kind of you're entering their world.
Yep.
So you can be in the subway and there'll be a crazy person coming through saying all kinds of crazy shit, maybe even like swinging in the air and stuff, and people like
Yep.
literally are not looking at the dude and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, everyone's fucking insane. But it's like, no, it's like literally that is what they're looking for. So it's like a weird scenario that you're in. It's like where if I pay attention to this guy, then he's gonna zero in on me.
Yep.
But if I
Exactly.
ignore him, now I'm ignoring the guy who's doing crazy shit. It's
Yeah.
like a very weird kind of like scenario to land on. But that's kind of like what it is, and that's what you have to do. It's a lot of ignoring, because a lot of people who do that, I don't know if that's what they're looking for, but that is what sets them off. If you give them that like little bit of attention, now you have entered the world. Now you're in their world. So
Right.
it's like pretty crazy to deal with that type of stuff. When people in New York, what I tell them is, someone talks to you, asks you anything, you just go, "Nah, I'm good," and you walk away. You just go, "Nah, I'm good," but you say it with one word. Like the "nah," you know what I'm saying?
No
Just
habla.
go, "Nah, I'm good." NAA, I'm good. Nah, I'm good, and you just walk away. They'll get it. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Though it's. I wouldn't say ignore them. I'm always like kind of trying to keep an eye on
Yeah,
it.
I mean, you have
Like
to
that situational awareness. Maybe that comes back to martial arts, but like back to my situation. I was looking at my phone, but I was constantly peeking at him and
Mhm.
seeing where he was. That's how like I knew to kind of just like while I was looking at the phone, insert the hand and just kind of guide him back. So I knew where he was, you know. And one of the things you learn too in I guess in martial arts is that striking distance and where to be in comparison to an individual. Even if they have a knife, if you're out of that striking distance, you're at least safe for a second. You have a distance, you know where to go and what to do.
No,
Um,
yeah, for sure. I mean, martial arts is it's great for all of that. I mean, this the sense of space, sense of you know of knowing when to act, when not to act, stuff like that. Which is why I have the network that I have going on. Like I said, my group was just me, and then I got hooked up with all these other groups, and that's why it's great to be able to give all these options to people who are looking, because my group is all groups. They're open to the public. They're like donation based, and there is no kind of contract, no pressure to do anything whatsoever than to show up and try it out. So it's like
where
really
can
cool to have all these options for people. We have a sumo gym, that a sumo club that's in Astoria. The Dragon Combat. If you want even like kung fu, we have a Wing Chun club. I myself, I focus on like a different combat sport like every few months. Like right now we're doing combat sambo. We used to do boxing, wrestling, stuff like that.
where can people find the group?
So the group right now is on meetup.com, and it's called Manhattan Martial Arts Network. And then there's my Instagram as well, just Manhattan Martial Arts, where I have the map with all the groups there, and they should be linked to.
So do people just kind of show up? Should they register at the meetup or how's that all work?
Well, the meetup kind of gives you all the information. You can RSVP there, but it's always a good idea to also check in with the people of the group. So a lot of them are like check out the meetup page, like they're like organizers in the meetup page as well. But
Okay.
it's always good to always check out on them, just to make sure that they're expecting you, or that you're going to the right place. Or in bigger groups like the one with the armor combat, they kind of like do their own thing, so you do have to check in with them before. But this is all like on the pages. I kind of tell you how you should go about it, and all these options that you have.
All right. Awesome, man. Hey, thank you for joining us today. This has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate having you. Um, any closing remarks, my friend?
No, I mean, thank you very much for inviting me. It's very cool to be talking about martial arts with another martial artist. I would say, like, in the city, like we said, it can be like lonely out there, and I think martial arts has a really, really like on tap potential for like group gathering, social interaction, stuff like that. So I think if anyone is thinking of trying martial arts, even maybe trying a different martial art, like you should totally go for it. And if you're in the city, check out this page. There's so many different type of martial arts that you can try out. But like I said, I think everyone should. Like I said, if I could make it, everyone would be training anyway. So my closing remarks is like, go train.
That's a good one. All right, my friend. We're gonna sign off. For everyone viewing, thank you for joining us today, guys. Stay blessed. Till next time. Much love, guys. Peace.
Take it easy.
All right, my friend.